8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
International superstar, Miss buttabrocka.
You are now tuned in to buttabrocka on Transparency Talks Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Transparency Talks Podcast. I am your girl, buttabrocka. We have an amazing show for you today. But first, before I bring my guest on, I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much. My single is still doing very well. We are 3 weeks out, and I have now charted as number 99 on the top chart. So, I'm super excited about that. Also, y'all know that I'm having my premiere of my first feature film that I executive produced, directed, and wrote. And of course, I'm starring in. But we have a sold out show in 2 weeks. Now, I thought it was going to take a whole month to sell out. We sold out in 2 weeks. It's going to be so popping at the movie theater. So I'm super excited, and I just want to say thank you guys so much. So without further ado, I would like to bring on this brother. He is an actor, a stunt performer, and a martial artist. Can you guys please show some love for Jay Wells Jr.? Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I like to dive right on in here at Transparency Talks Podcast.
Okay.
Can you tell everybody a little bit about your background?
And so my name is Jay Wells Jr. I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida. By way of Massachusetts, my dad was in the Coast Guard, so I was conceived up north. I'm technically a Boston Bean, but I was raised down south, and so that's where I learned. Excuse me. I got introduced to the martial arts, the arts as an actor, and different things like that, and then eventually I made the move up here to Atlanta to further my career.
Okay. So at what age did you start doing martial arts?
It had to be like around high school, somewhere around there. I was young when I started, so. And
Okay.
so I had a cousin that I met at a family reunion. He was a martial artist, and so he's the one that really kind of started that with me. I thought it was amazing. It was just simple to him, but it was amazing to me, so I never forgot him. And so when I got old enough, when I could start practicing and training, I found a school and I started practicing.
Okay. And how do you feel like these skill sets have helped you develop yourself and build into a strong character about your experiences in bullying?
It's helped me a lot. So it gave me a certain skill set, allowed me to work out, develop my body and whatnot, and it gave me a certain sense of confidence. And so the skills and the lessons I took from the dojo training, I still practice and train now, but those skills I took early on, I use those in other areas in terms of like the practice, the discipline, because everything is transferable. The skills that you use in one area to be successful are the same skills and things that you're going to use in another area to be successful there too.
You better say it. Absolutely. All right. So you started doing martial arts. And what made you say, you know what? I can use this and I can get into acting and use this. And I can also use this not only as an actor, but I can also do stunts. Because like those are all totally different things.
It was God. I grew up, like I said, I had a cousin that really started my interest in the martial arts. And then watching, kung fu movies and everything, like, you dishonor my family. You beat my master. Now you die. And so watching all that stuff as a kid, I've always had an affinity for it, and so when I got a chance to practice, I did it. But my two worlds in terms of acting and the arts and the martial arts didn't converge. It was just two things I did that I enjoyed, but I did them separately. And so I would go to the dojo and train 3 to 4 days a week, and then I was involved in acting also. So there would be plays at the church. Eventually, I met a gentleman, Professor Hines, at one of the colleges in Jacksonville, Florida State Community College. He revitalized one of the theater programs on one of the campuses, and so I was doing plays there. And so if I wasn't at the dojo, I was at the theater rehearsing for plays, and the two worlds didn't converge and whatnot. And then eventually, I was able to get a scholarship, an acting scholarship, at FCCJ, and so that took me along my path. Again, the two worlds worked together until I came to Atlanta. I was here, I'm taking acting classes and whatnot, and then I meet a casting director, and we seen each other here and there. And I met him at a networking event, and he was looking for a place to hold a action for acting seminar. And so my buddy has a dojo. He had just moved into a big space. I'm like, give me your content information. Let me talk to him. And so I got those two together. And so from that, they were able to have the action acting seminar. And me and his casting director, we were talking about, stunts and everything because he has an action background and a martial arts background also. That's really how we kind of connected with one another. And so I went and did it. And he's like, oh, okay, he does know how to punch, kick, this, that, and the third. So I was like, okay. And so around this time, they they needed to do reshoots for Black Panther. And so he was one of the casting directors for it. And so he was like, hey, listen, I need black men anywhere from 6'3" to 6'6", and they got to be martial artists. You know how hard it is to find black men that big that do martial arts? It's like, it's trying to, like, you trying to pull the sword at the stone at this point. So I go out and I'm talking to people. I find brothers that are athletes, this and the third. I'm like, all right, they can teach you punch and kick. So, but at that time, not many details were out about what the movie was going to be about, the different tribes, this and the third. So he just said he needed them. So I'm helping him recruit. So from that, I I get him a list of names, men and women and whatnot, and I go to Atlanta Black Theater Festival. And at this point, I'm kind of, you know, I need my ends to meet, but they were getting further and further apart. So I'm struggling. I'm trying to act. I'm delivering pizzas for money and whatnot. And I get to a point where my funds are low. I overdraft my account by mistake. My partner hit me up. Listen, we didn't get your payment. I'm like, I know the money's in there. So overdraft my account, get hit with return check fees, late fees, overdraft fees, and everything. So all the money I had made from delivering pizzas is gone to all these fees. I had about $5 left over from that. I got like $35 in my pocket from tip money and whatnot. And then I got 2 weeks to go to get the money I need to pay rent the next month, and I'm spazzing out. And so I go out, hang out with a friend. I'm just out, trying to clear my head, think about what I can do. Think about, okay, what outfits I'm gonna keep, because I know I'm gonna be sleeping in my car for a little bit. That's where my mind's at. So I get a call from this guy. He's like, hey, hello, may I speak to Jay? I'm like, this is Jay. Hey, Jay, how you doing? Okay, this is Chris. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out who is this. I'm like, I don't know this guy. Then he tells me he's one of the casting directors at Marvel. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, hey, how you doing? Now, I'm a little warmer to him now. So he tells me I have an audition that Friday. Can I make it? I'm like, yeah, of course. I go, get my schedule clear, get my bag ready. I go in to do this audition, and it's audition for Black Panther. And so I go, and there's all these brothers in here. I'm roughly 6 foot, 170. I'm real lean at this time because I just came off a fast. So I'm 6 foot, 170, tiny. I'm going in, brothers 6'2", 6'3". One brother was like 6'9". And they got me over there with the Jabari tribesmen. I'm like, I don't think this is the right area, but okay. And so they take us through the fight choreo with the staff and everything. this is where martial arts background comes into play. And so in karate, we have something called kobudo with the weapons. And one of the staples of kobudo is the staff. That's what the Jabari uses. And so it's basic block, hit, stab, this, that, and the third. I'm like, psh, got this. And so where I didn't have the physicality they were looking for, I had the skill set. Some of the other brothers had the physicality, not necessarily the skill set because they had worked with weapons before. And so I go to the audition. The coordinator comes over and talks to me. Hey, what are you trying to do? I'm like, I want to do stunts, this, and the third. He's like, all right. He's giving me pointers. He's like, I got a feeling we're going to see you Monday. I'm like, all right. I'm not thinking about what he's saying, telling me. I go home. I get a call. One of the assistants calls me to see if I'm available for the next 2 weeks. They want to book me for Black Panther.
Wow.
And so that's my origin story, how my two worlds converged together in terms of martial arts and the arts as an actor. And it opened the world up to me for more possibilities in terms of being in front of the camera, being a fight choreographer, stunt performer, stunt double, and whatnot, in addition to acting. And so that's when my worlds really kind of came together and it made sense for me.
That is a powerful message, especially for people, actors and different things like that, that get to the point where they want to give up because, as you know, it's
Yeah,
it's it's real in these
it
streets
is.
trying to make it as an actor, as a singer, any of that, you know. And when
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to stay true to it and everything, you're doing everything you can to hold on. And I
Yeah.
love the fact that right when you was at the lowest,
Listen.
you got that phone call. That's major.
I was at the brink, like it was like a movie, right when like he about to give out a breath, something comes to save the day. That's what happened.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, what was that feeling getting a phone call from Marvel about Black Panther? Like that's not a normal phone call to get.
Wow, I never really thought about it, but yeah, you're right. It's not, and I just at that time to answer your question, at that time it was so exciting and it was a relief because the other part of the story, because I was getting long-winded with the other part of the story, I had booked another job also. And
Hmm.
so I was supposed to go back to Florida to shoot this. It was supposed to be like a hospital commercial. It was going to be a print work and whatnot. So, and I needed the money too. So it was truly a bird in the hand. And so I sacrificed a bird in the hand for two in the bush. And so, and it didn't dawn on me at the time that, listen, like, fool, they didn't promise you a job. This is an audition. You still got to go and prove yourself in order to get this work. And so the opportunity was too big to pass up, and it wasn't a chance, but it was a calculated risk because the other thing with that job, it paid a net 90. And so I was about to spend money I really didn't have to go get money that I wasn't going to see for potentially the next 30 to 90 days.
Hmm.
So it still wasn't going to help solve my problem in the immediate. So it was like I thought about it. I was like, I can forego this for this, and I'm glad I did because this has been so much more rewarding for me. Um, in the long run. And it was my steps have just been orchestrated. You got to trust the timing that you're in because I look back at everything and look at how everything played out. Had stuff not gone the way it gone out, if stuff wouldn't have played out the way it played out, I would have missed this opportunity completely because it was a chance meeting with this casting director. Like I had knew him, but I wasn't in close contact with him. We didn't even have each other's contact information. And because I was supposed to go to this networking event a month prior, but I had booked another job, and so I had to cancel because I was taking one of my friends with me because he had never been. It was like a positive environment and everything. So he's like, all right, just let me know when you got full availability and stuff. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, I'm going this date. I'm not taking anything else. I'm going this date. And that day that we went was the day that he was there, that I was able to have that meeting with him, which led to me helping him secure the location for his action acting seminar, which led for him pitching me for an audition for Black Panther.
Hmm. Man, honestly, that's an amazing story. So
I was
can you
so
tell
grateful.
the people out there exactly what a stunt performer is and what does your job entail to make the process of making a movie?
Sure. A stunt performer is basically for, films that have, light to heavy action. A stunt performer is either a performer that executes the action, tumbling, falling, this, that, and the third for a film, or a stunt double is a person that doubles for the actual actor when it comes in terms of the fighting, the falling, and stuff like that. So, for example, you're watching the show, let's say Naval NCIS, right? And so you got your lead characters. Oh, there's the suspect. Get him. This person may not have any lines, or you might have one line. More often than not, they'll hire a stunt performer to do that. The person that can, that can facilitate the running, falling, fighting. You can tackle this person. They know how to deliver the action without getting hurt, but make it look like it was hurtful and painful. And on the opposite end, the actor chasing that person. Anytime you see the camera angle reverse was just the person back of the person's head, if it's something beyond the actor's scope, they'll have a stunt double for that person. So if they got to leap and tackle the person, they might not be adept at fighting. So it'll be a person that knows how to box, punch, take the reactions and whatnot, and really highlight the actor and make them look like a baddie. And so that's in a nutshell is what stunt performer and a stunt double does. And so I'm the person more often than not in the background, getting beat up, shot at, kick, knock down some steps, all that kind of stuff.
Wow. Okay, so you was talking about Black Panther being your big start. Did you ever get a chance to meet Chadwick Boseman?
No, I didn't. And so I worked on the reshoots. They had shot the movie earlier that year. And
Hmm.
so you could probably attest to this. A lot of times with films, they put it together and then post, once it's edited, they have a finished product, they put it in front of a test audience to see how it reads. And so some of the stuff didn't read. And so I think the spoiler alert for those of you that haven't seen the first Black Panther yet, shame on you. Go
Right.
watch it. And so I was in the Jabari tribe. So they wanted to reshoot that climactic battle scene when the Jabari came through and saved the day with the Doors, and so they needed even more people to play border tribesmen, Jabari, Doors, and whatnot. And so that gave me my opportunity. And so with that, they didn't bring Chadwick back to shoot those scenes.
Mm.
They had a stunt double there on set, and so he was actually trying to pitch me to be Chadwick's stunt double, which would have been cool, but I didn't have any experience at that time. So there was a guy named Anis Shefferow. He was one of the doubles for Chadwick. Anis is an awesome stunt performer. This dude is bad. But I was able to be in the Jabari tribe, and so I didn't meet Chadwick. He wasn't there. I met Lupita. I met Letitia. I met Daniel Kalua. They were there on set when we were shooting this battle scene.
Can you tell the crowd how rigorous it is getting ready for these scenes? Because y'all have to, when people see it on TV, they see it once. But as me and you know, you're you're repeating over and over taking these scenes. And
Over
then
and over
before you
again.
even take the scene, you got to choreograph all of your moves and get everything together. So talk about
Hmm. There's a lot of training that's involved, and you're really, as a stunt performer, you're really kind of an athlete, and that's kind of like the lifestyle. Like you hear about your favorite athletes training in the off season and training during the season and whatnot, not to keep their bodies up and ready to perform. You do the same thing as a stunt performer, and you got to be in shape because you know how it is to be on set. All right, going again, line after line, line after line, and just acting and delivering those emotions can be exhausting. How much more taxing is it as an actual stunt performer? And you're not just saying lines, but you got to throw this punch 20 times. You got to take this reaction. You're falling, getting back up, and you got these long action sequences, and where you're really exerting yourself and the physicality of it. So you got to be in shape. So you know, off rip, you're training 3 to 5 days a week to keep up with your fitness so you can go take after take. Because after you get done, all right, going again. Catch your breath. All right, let's go. And you're fighting. And you're simulating the action. You're not really banging and hitting each other, but you make it look like you're like, and you're doing all this stuff. And you huffing and puffing. And so just to train it, and then the rehearsals for the action, making sure you got the beats and the choreo together. That could change on the day, you know.
Yeah.
And then you're all set. Then you got to get in costume, which adds another dynamic to it. And so as a Jabari tribesman, like the chest plate was kind of, I was lean at the time, so it kind of kind of stretched across my chest, and so now I gotta navigate around this costume and perform in this costume, and you got your pads and stuff underneath, and so that adds a whole nother element to it, and so it can be rigorous, and you got to be up for the task, and you got to train.
Wow. So how does one condition their body and their mind to sustain something like that?
So I think there's many paths to the top. So you got people like I come from a martial arts background, so I practice karate, and so Goju Ryu karate, which is one of the more arduous styles of karate. So really, the Most High was preparing me for what I'm doing now because we spent a lot of time in the dojo conditioning the body, you know, taking blows to the arms, back, stomach, legs, and everything, and that really kind of conditions you to withstand impact and whatnot. And so you got other people that come from sports backgrounds, former athletes, basketball players, football players, gymnasts, all kind of things. And so I think it's helpful if you have a background in something, then you build the rest of your skill set off of that. And so with that, martial arts plays a big part. If you know how to punch and kick, that's helpful. Judo, jujitsu, things where you learn how to fall safely on either a mat or hard surfaces where you don't hurt yourself. So all those kind of skills plays a part in helping you to deliver the action because when you're training, you have a mat, but a lot of times you're out on surfaces that aren't forgiving. So you pad up, you gotta learn how to fall without hurting yourself. And so that's partly how you get ready martial arts training, learning how to fall, learning how to kick. Acting plays a part. You got to be able to react to these impacts because you're not actually getting hit in the face, but you got to sell it like you are getting hit in the face. And so acting is a big part of that also. So there's a lot of things that plays a part into your training as a stunt performer.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. How does someone get into becoming a stunt performer?
Mm. There is, what's the expression? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of that. And so it's similar to acting. And I would say if you want to become a stunt performer, it's all about location. So you got to be in the place where one, movie is happening, and two, where these people are training at. And so there's an expression that says if you hang around 10 millionaires, you'll be the 11th one. Conversely, if you hang around 10 broke people, you'll be the 11th one.
Mm.
And so location, being around people that's training or whatnot, you can pick up those gems and nuggets from them. And your network will help put you in place of opportunities for people that's looking for stunt performers. That way you can submit yourself and things like that. And so that's one like on a union level. But if you're trying to get started, just like with acting, get started with your buddies, your cell phone, shooting stuff in the yard, outside, just to give you some experience and everything so you can practice doing it. There's plenty of non-union work and student films and whatnot, and people that want to do action. Link up with them. So that's going to give you some experience that you need. It's going to help get you footage also. It may not pay, but it's not about the money right now. It's about getting your foot in the door, getting the experience and everything. And so that way you can start from the ground level and kind of build and stack on your experiences and build your resume also. And train. And so if you know you want to do that, I would say getting in some kind of martial arts class, do something that you enjoy because a lot of what we do is fighting, flipping, and falling. So knowing how to punch, knowing how to kick, is gonna pay huge dividends in the end. You're gonna have to redo that because the way you punch and kick for film is a lot different than how you would actually punch and kick if you were trying to hit somebody. Because
Mm.
it's real big and showy. You got to show the technique because in fighting, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. In film, fighting for film, you don't want to take a straight line. It can look boring, and the audience might not be able to pick up on the technique, so it's got to be a lot bigger. So you want to go around the block with it to kind of show off and highlight what's going on. But if you have a basis in those things, it makes the transition a whole lot easier because you know what's happening, what's going on.
I didn't realize that stunt performers is kind of almost similar to singers slash dancers because depending on the stage that you're on, we got to make our movements even bigger to enhance, to be able to show the dynamics of it not
Hmm.
being so square. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So, as a stunt performer, have you ever got hurt?
Yes, yeah, I have. And it was my fault. I can't blame nobody but myself, but I had hurt my knee, and so this goes back to, you know, so yeah, so it was a movie I was doing. I was a coordinator for it. It was a short film starring Marshawn Lynch and whatnot. And so it was a skateboard stunt. And I had no business being on that skateboard. And I paid the price. And so my aunt used to say bought and paid for lessons are the best lessons. And so I bought and paid for that lesson, which I still got the receipt, but they're not taking it. I want to give it back, but I can't. But that's just a lesson for me and just a lesson for life as an artist and a performer. When we get started, we think that we can do everything and we want to do everything because we're so hungry for opportunity. And so you got to understand who you are and what your capabilities are with respect to that. And it's okay not to be able to do everything. And so you just got to understand who you are and what your capabilities are because especially with stunts because you can really get hurt and people have died, you know, selling, the art of action to entertain the audiences and whatnot. And so it's very serious. And so you got to be able to, one, deliver and understand what your capabilities are. And if you can't do something, it's okay. There's other things you can do. Not everybody does everything. Some people have specialties and, car hits or whatever. Everybody can't do that. Everybody doesn't like high falling. So they don't. But there's people that do that. So you got to stay within your wheelhouse as an actor, as a stunt performer, and as an actor also understanding who your type is, what you can do and what you can't do. Some people are better at comedy than others. Other people are better at drama. So just understanding who you are, what you can do, and sticking to that and maximizing who you are as a person. And that's where you're gonna get your opportunity from.
I would imagine that as a stunt performer, your insurance is super high. You'd be like, what you do? You got to put other. I wouldn't put stunts. Jeez. Right.
My premium's low right now. What you do? Like, oh no, we can't.
Right.
We can't do this, brother. Like,
Mm. I would have to put something else on that paper because my
yeah,
G.
entertainer.
Right. That is, I mean, right. So you sound like you have a lot of knowledge and everything, but you've really been speaking a lot of game to these people, right?
Yes,
You
yes,
started speaking,
yes,
and
yes,
it's my understanding that Les Brown impacted you personally in listening to him, and then you actually started working directly with him, learning to speak directly with him.
yes, yes. And so Les Brown, like growing up, I would listen to motivational speakers all the time. Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar's there, Les Brown. Les Brown is my favorite motivational speaker of all time. Like, and then later, Eric Thomas. I went to his workshop also, but Les Brown is like my dude. And so, right around the time I got injured, it was a pivot moment for me, and I couldn't. I was rehabbing my knee, and I couldn't do stunts, and I had to get back right. And I had met Les Brown earlier that year, and he was talking about the fact that he was launching his speaker series, and he was going to be training people to do what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then that came around months later, and when I was hurt, it made me think about, all right, I can't do this forever. Injuries are real. What else can I do? Like, yeah, I still have aspirations to be in front of the camera as an actor, but let me maximize the totality of who I am. I enjoy speaking. I enjoy listening to motivational speakers. If I have a word for you that I feel like can help you, and God tells me to say it to you, I'm gonna say it to you. And so he opened up his speaker summit, and I got a chance to train with him, albeit virtually because the pandemic was going on. But I got a chance to train with Les Brown for how long was it, 6 weeks? So meeting, taking notes, listening, and him just giving us the game about how he does what he does. And the dude is truly like amazing at what he does. And it was interesting listening to him because it's like we take we take for granted what it is to do what we do. We we all can run, but that doesn't make us track stars.
Right.
You know, we we might play basketball outside, but it doesn't make us professional basketball players. We all know how to talk. We're communicating now, but that doesn't make us great orators. And so for him to break down what it is that he does, it really kind of brought a full circle, like how that works and how we take for granted these skills and how we don't develop ourselves in these areas. And so it allowed me to grow as a speaker and better craft my story to motivate people. And so by the time I was training, he had done 2 speaker summits already. And so he was selecting people to be part of the third Power Voice Summit from out of his people that he was teaching. And so lo and behold, I was able to be part of the Les Brown's Power Voice Speaker Summit, the third one. And so that was a great honor for me to be able to speak and share my story about Black Panther and hopefully, you know, motivate people with my story.
Okay.
Hmm.
It's funny that you just said that. He called me yesterday. I speak to him all the time. And I met him in LA. I did a show, but make a long story short, we ended up exchanging information and everything. And in 2019, I had torn meniscus, torn ACL, and I dislocated my shoulder, which of course took me off the road from touring. And I woke up from the surgery finding out that instead of it being a 6 weeks recovery time, it was going to be a year. So I go home and he calls me on the phone and he says, "But May, I know this looks like a setback, but this is a setup, right?"
Mm.
So check this out. Here's how crazy this is. So
Hmm.
while I was recovering, I went over to his house one day and he asked me, "Steven, why don't you work with me?" And I said, "Well, I have my own thing going on." And he says,
Yeah.
"Well, this is just why you recovered." So I was there when you was doing your Power Voice Summit. I'm the one that set up the StreamYards, and for 8 months I worked with him during the pandemic.
What?
Yep, I used to set up all of his stuff.
Yo,
That's crazy.
that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Did you watch the third Power Voice Summit? Did you
I
see
did,
it?
but it was a few speakers on there, so
Yeah.
I don't remember if I
It
saw
was a lot of us. It was about 20 of us.
right.
And I want to say I was like the fourth or fifth speaker on there for the third one.
I don't think I actually saw your speech.
Okay.
I mean, I will say that, working with Les is, he
You
gets
saw
calls, he gets
you saw a lot of people, so I ain't mad
yeah,
that you don't remember me because it was a lot of us
it was a
in the
lot.
groups in their training.
It was a lot.
But it was so you can attest to what I'm talking about. Like it was amazing, like getting the game from him, how he set his stories up and constructed and everything. Like
Yeah.
I listened to him for years, and I thought I understood, but I didn't understand until I heard him break it down. Like this is how this works. This is how you structure this from point A to B to C. And I was like, oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Man,
Yeah,
small
he
world.
literally just called me last night, talking about my film and everything because
Whoa.
while I was over there, I had started constructing my film, and
Mm-hmm.
I was showing him that, and he endorsed both of my books. All of that stuff was constructed over there. As a matter of fact, my husband became his chef, and he proposed to me over there. Both of us was working there. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So that's too cool.
You've got greatness in you.
Yes, and you do too. So, um, what piece of advice can you give someone who has gone through experiences of bullying that they can use for now?
I would say it's not gonna always last. It's rough right now, and it's not a constellation, but people, it rolls downhill. So somewhere in that person's life, they're getting bullied in some kind of way. They don't know how to talk about and express it, so they try to find somebody that they can bully and whatnot, oftentimes. And so I would say with that, try to understand where they're coming from. Not that it's not right, and that's not to excuse that, because I was bullied as a kid, and I don't like bullies to this day. And so understand where it's coming from, and then do something to give yourself a sense of confidence and whatnot. So working out, getting fit will help you boost your confidence and your morale and whatnot. In the martial arts also, because oftentimes like you don't know how to defend yourself against the actions of a bully. And so martial arts is a great resource that, all right, I may not win, but I can put up a fight. And this isn't to advocate for violence, but this is for advocating and defending yourself in the face of somebody that's coming against you. And so bullies pick on people that aren't going to fight back. And a lot of times just being able presenting yourself like I'm not the one is a deterrent.
Hmm.
That it's gonna be if you come over here, it's gonna be fight on your hands. And bullies don't want to fight; they just want to take advantage of people. So as I started learning martial arts, well prior to I didn't know how to fight, and so I would avoid it. But then once I learned how to fight, I know how to fight. I know how to hurt somebody. So now I've got a certain level of responsibility. So I don't fight. And then because of what it did to me as a person, I didn't need to because of how I presented. People are like, oh, he practiced martial arts. Let me not mess with him. Oh, you know what I'm saying? My body composition started to change. I'm head up, chest out, and everything. So now I'm not presenting myself as a target. So now people like, I'm gonna leave him alone. So now it's
Right.
just a different attitude. So I would say learn martial arts. That's gonna do more to transform you as a person, where you're not even being approached as an easy mark in that standpoint.
Okay. So, what's next for you, and how can people book you?
And so what's next for me? I'm training. I'm getting ready for that next thing. I don't know what that's going to be, but I'm speaking out into the universe that prayerfully this year I'll be working on some more projects. And as a stunt performer and as an actor, I still enjoy acting as well. But I'm just staying ready. So I'm training my mind, my body, and my spirit and whatnot. And so that's what's happening on the entertainment front. But also, we just talked about power voice. So I'm training myself as a speaker also. So I'm going out sharing my story, hopefully to to the benefit of the youth, kids. I just spoke at a school a couple weeks ago. Um, I have another opportunity to speak coming up as well. So I'm just getting out there sharing my voice and whatnot, and letting people know I do have the skill and ability, and I'm available. And so I'm speaking more now, in addition to the acting and the action of a stunt performer, and I'm speaking as well.
Okay.
And so they can go to my website, and they can message me there at www.jwellsjr.com. And I teach women's self-defense. I'm speaking. If you want somebody to come out as a speaker, I can do that. If you want to learn how to defend yourself, I can teach you how to do that as well from my martial arts background. So I'm doing those things. I've got people now, so you can reach out to my publicist. She knows how to get a hold of me. And Burning Ears Media, you can reach me there. And if you're interested in what I have to offer, you can reach out there, and we can set something up.
Okay. Well, I would like to thank you so much for being a part of the show. I truly enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
You're the first stunt performer I've ever spoken to.
Really?
You are.
Okay. I'm glad we was able to go on this journey together.
Yeah, definitely. So with that, everybody, we are going to get out of here. But Wells, you stay on the phone. I mean, you stay on
Okay,
the
I
line.
will.
But we're going to
All
get
right.
off this call with Facebook. So with that, everybody, we will talk to you guys later.
Bye bye.